boys, welcome back to a brand new video. And today we got one that you guys have been looking for a little while, because I posted one about 4 weeks ago, but it's been a little while and lots has changed in the game. There's a few more to touch up on. And what I'm talking about is a rarest cars video in Horizon 5, because it is constantly changing as Forza updates their game. And honestly, there are still a couple of the cars from the old list that'll make it back onto this one, but instead of doing just 5, there were 6 cars I wanted to throw into this video, because one of them is a super special one that I didn't include in the last one and people were a little upset about. And I'll explain when I get to it, but I feel a little weird including it just because of how you have to go about obtaining it. Anyways, there's a lot to cover in today's video, and I also am going to be showcasing the cars. So I'm going to be taking them out of the garage and driving them around, because that was another thing people didn't enjoy about the last one. They wanted to see the cars shown off. They had a hard time understanding which cars I was talking about, which is fair. So thank you for the feedback. We're going to try and do things a bit better in this one now that I know what you guys are looking for. So anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the festival so we can get into our first car. We're going to start at number 6 and work our way down here to our number 1 spot. 6 not as rare, number 1 the most. And at number 6, we're going to do the Honda NSX RGT. I'm trying to show it off as easy as possible because last time people were pretty confused about the name. And the reason this is only going to go into number 6 is because Forza re-released this car to the game. And when they re-released it didn't really go back up in price, so people have a hard time getting it, even though a lot more of them are they're in circulation. Lots of people have this car, and not a lot of people are selling it just because its price never went up to the $20 million price point, so people aren't inclined to sell it because it's a really good car, fun to drive around. It looks super unique here. So I tried to get as many as I could when they were being re-released again and people are actually selling them, but unfortunately they never rose back up to 20 million. So unless you are a legendary tuner, you're kind of out of luck in terms of selling it. I wouldn't sell it. If you guys have one, hold on to this car as long as possible because it's good at racing, and as you're seeing right now, it does everything. It's just a fun car to own and probably one of the nicer Hondas in the game. That being said, we do have a few Hondas on this list here, so we're gonna go ahead and get to our next one. Now this next one, we're only tossing it at the number 5 spot because of how brand new of a car it is. Now the price on this one probably will go back up to 20 million, so you will be able to get it fairly easily. That being said, it is still a rare car and not a lot of people want to sell theirs because it looks amazing. It's super fast and it is like the most brand new hyped up car in the game. I don't know the exact year, but I do believe this was another 2020 car. It handles well, it just looks super neat, and all these things put together have made it pretty rare. It's a very hyped up vehicle. Kind of what happened with the Aventador SVJ is happening again with this car. So although it's not super rare, super hard to get your hands on, if you see it pop up, chances are someone else is going to buy it, but it is still possible within a couple minutes to go and get your hands on it. That's what I ended up doing with this one. So we're gonna move on to the number 4. Now at number 4 we have the Mugen here, which is kind of an interesting one because there's so many Civics in Forza, but this car happened to be very rare in Horizon 4 just because of how easy it is to drift. It's a very good race car. It has an insanely high top speed. I think it can go over 280 miles per hour, which is unbelievable. It's a great drag car. It accelerates really fast. Obviously it's a Honda. It has a ton of engine swaps you can do for it, and for all these reasons, and you can only get it when Forza re-releases it to the game, it's made it pretty rare, especially since its price has also been locked around the 2 million price point. Oh, there we go. I'm not exactly sure what it was locked at, but again, this was one of those other cars that Forza decided we're not going to be able to sell it for more than what it's already worth, which kind of sucks. But now if you have one, I would never recommend selling it because this price likely isn't going to go back up to a point where it's worth it, and it's very hard to get since it's been a long time since it was put into the game. I have my hands on a few of them. I might sell them for 20 million, but I'm not really interested because this has been a rare car for quite a while in Forza now, and it's just so good all around. Anyways, I'm sure many of you have this one, so let's get to the number 3 spot. Now at number 3, we have our last Honda, and it's just the Civic Coupe. I believe if you're going to find it on the auction house, it's just called the Honda Civic, nothing else behind it. And this is definitely one of the most rare cars in the game. I would have it at the number 2 spot, but number 2 I'm gonna have to explain a little bit, so we'll get to that later. This car, I believe it's only been released once or twice into the game, making it extremely rare because it was very early on into the game's life when they were releasing this car. So I actually wasn't one of the lucky ones who was able to get his hands on it right away. I had to wait and get mine off the auction house. And that being said, all these cars you can get off the auction house if you have the money. First of all, I believe this one still sells for 20 million, as well as being patient enough. And if you ask me, this car is probably not worth it. The only reason I still have mine is because it happens to be a very rare vehicle. But unlike some of the other ones we've covered, it's not an all-around amazing car. It's again just a normal Civic, and you can get many other Civics that are just like it or perform even better. So I wouldn't stress too much about getting this one unless you're just a collector and you want as many of the cool cars as possible in this game. But definitely from what we've seen on the list so far, this is the most underwhelming option. And in the way of rare cars, it just happens to be one of the most rare because of how much it's been released to the game and when it was. Now at number 2, this is the car that this is the reason I made our list 6 spots long, was for this car, because it is insanely rare for the reason you needed the controller that Forza released when Horizon 5 came out, and if you bought that controller, you got a code which gave you this car. It's a bit of a story, honestly, behind me getting this car. I went to buy one code off someone, and it turned out that the code wasn't real. He ended up just taking my money. I have a whole video on my channel describing that. I'm sure you could look it up. It's called, like, I got scammed or something. But anyways, I ended up getting it eventually. It cost me like $60, which honestly, at the end of the day, I've used this car twice. Once in that video and once right now. It's not amazing, especially for me. I prefer racing and drifting, not so much the off-roading side of Forza, and this car is just hard to control. It looks kind of cool, but there's also another 5-window deluxe in Forza you could just paint to look exactly like this one. So at the end of the day, if you ask me if this one's worth it, the answer is obviously not. It's a horrible car. But since you needed a controller that you can't buy online anymore, you can only buy secondhand and you risk getting scammed, that has made it probably one of the most rarest cars in the game. But anyways, it's not our most rarest. I don't think it would be fair to toss it at that spot, so we're gonna go look at the most rare right now. And that number 1 is the Gallardo Spider here. It was released quite a while ago. It's a drop top Gallardo, so obviously the roof can come down if you click, and now you have a convertible car, which was something we never saw in Horizon 4. So for that reason, and the fact it's only been released one time before, those have made this car quite a rare commodity. In fact, you'd be very hard pressed to see one come up on the auction house. Again, not saying it's impossible, because obviously it will come up if you're patient enough, but it's definitely one of my favorite cars in the game, and it's been the most rare for quite a while now. So if you have one, hats off. I don't know many people that have more than like 3. It's a pretty hard car to come by, but I definitely have my hands on a couple. So anyways, boys, with this car, that is gonna wrap us up for this video. Let me know how many of them you had down below, and if you enjoyed the video, let me know with a comment, a heart, or if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to catch more videos just like this one. We're super close to that 1 million. We're only a couple thousand subscribers off, and I think when we do hit that 1 million, we're gonna start integrating a bit of a face cam. So anyways, boys, as always, we'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Bye, boys.